Yeah, it's not about this viral video. It's about the right video and identifying the right audience.
We have an unbelievable episode for you this week. So we have Tony Video. I know it's a funny name, but he is really the expert at video. So he runs a YouTube and video marketing school pretty much, where he helps brands go from hundreds of views per video to hundreds of thousands of views per video. He has been doing this for years, started in production, started creating his own content and started teaching. He's got so many tips and advice on brands or people trying to grow their company through YouTube. It's amazing how you can create so much traction and so much credibility by creating fantastic videos on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I look forward to seeing you in there. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love talking about YouTube on casual day. And for those of you that maybe if you can't see me, I'm super casual today, but it makes me loose, man. Like I like to just kind of like get out here and vibe about YouTube and business. It's my two favorite things. Cause look, I had a full-time job until I started making YouTube videos. And then I started teaching people how to make YouTube videos. And that's when everything exploded. So I was not an entrepreneur before I started YouTube, and YouTube made you an entrepreneur. And so I really love to share those stories.
Brought out the best in you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, today we're going to go through a bunch of interesting stuff about, YouTube. We want to definitely get some knowledge from you in, how like recent trends, strategies, processes you use, all that sort of stuff. But let's kind of go back and, figure out how you started with all of this and how, Video Marketing School was created. Why did you get into YouTube and what's the story behind it?
Yeah. So, I've had a video camera in my hand since I was 9 years old. My dad, for Christmas that year, we had two big gifts under the tree because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. And one of those gifts was a Nintendo, right? We had Mike Tyson's Punch Out and Super Mario Bros. This is the first year Nintendo came out. So it was really exciting. But we also got a shoulder mount VHS video camera, the big kinds that the 80s dads would take to the soccer games and all that kind of stuff. And I played with the Nintendo for about 15 minutes, but I played with that video camera for 15 years. And everywhere I went, I had a video camera in my hand, and I would film this, that, or the other thing, making skits and funny things. But I never thought of it as a business. And that was probably the biggest, I think, stumbling block that I made in my early life. I always say you had to get another job. Like I was never going to make it in video. Of course not. It's just a fun thing that I do. And so after high school, I went into the workforce and I began looking at a job in sales because I wanted like a limitless, income potential, right? And so in sales, I enjoy the interaction of sales and I enjoy the processes of sales. Like I enjoy the psychology and that sort of thing. But even when I would make sales in the daytime at my job, I would come home at night and I would fiddle around with the video and had a lot of fun there. And so in 2008, when the economy tanked, I lost my job and decided that I would go full blown into YouTube sketch comedy, believe it or not. And I began to make funny videos for this new platform called YouTube. At the time, YouTube was brand new. And so I began making some of these funny videos, obviously not making any money, just got fired from my job. I'm 30 years old. I decided to go live at my dad's house to become a YouTube star. My dad says, look, while you're down here, I'm not going to charge you rent, but he had an e-commerce business. And he goes, I want you to make videos for my products. I'll order them. And then you come and you kind of do table displays. So I started doing that. And his sales exploded with YouTube videos. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll do skits in my downtime, but I'm going to go to other businesses and offer them the ability to make videos. And that's what I began to do. I went knocking on doors in downtown Salt Lake City where my dad lived. And I'm from San Diego. I was only out at my dad's for like a small hiatus, but I moved back to San Diego and started knocking on doors in San Diego. And I was offering website videos for $20 a pop. And that business blew up very, very quickly. We did 6 figures in my first year. And I've been teaching
$20 a video.
Yeah,
20 a lot of videos.
Yeah, man. And let me tell you something. We had lots of upgrades, right? So like you make a video for them. It's a loss leader. It just kind of keeps money in the system and trains the customer to buy from you. But then they go, oh, I love the video. Can you do 5 more? And then bam, that's when you hit them with like, yeah, but now it's $2,000. And then that grew into, can you do my Facebook page as well? Like, yeah, we can run ads for you as well. And so I'd go home, go to YouTube, Google how to do Facebook ads. You know what I mean? So then I would learn how to do Facebook ads literally on Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning I would go to the client and like help them make their Facebook ads. And that's how our business began, until I was diagnosed with cancer, and that's when we changed into more of a coaching company, and that's when the video marketing school was born.
Wow, that's a crazy story, and unbelievable because of multiple things. Starting at 30, because everybody's got this perception that you need to start so young on these platforms, and at 30 it's like too late, which is not true at all.
30 is still, I still feel very young. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm just getting started. And for those youngins, those 20 somethings that are already started, wow, you got a bright future. So keep hustling.
Yeah, because I do know, we work with a lot of different brands, and a lot of them kind of, they say, oh, TikTok's not for me, or some of these newer platforms aren't for me. And it's like, no, well, you need to get on this now so that as the platform develops, you're going to be in a good position.
I agree.
And there's definitely a niche for everything on every platform. You just got to find it. But no, it's super interesting that you made that transition into coaching and everything. Now, this is really interesting because I know there's obviously much better recurring revenue in coaching.
Yeah.
There's, I think, better unit economics when it comes to time in versus revenue out. What made you make that? Obviously, the cancer made you make that switch, but what was the thought process behind that in why you wanted to leave that agency world and go into coaching? Because I think a lot of people get stuck in the agency world.
Yeah, all of those things are part of it. What brought, so the year that we transitioned out was the same year that I was diagnosed with cancer. And I say we because if you're married as passionately as I am, like, you don't go through anything alone. Like, it's always you guys. So when we got diagnosed, it was a very strenuous year leading up to that. I was doing bigger and better work. Bigger clients. We had cranes now, and we had like, big semi, film production is what we were doing. And I was running around, like, I didn't hold the camera anymore, but I was like wearing a sport coat, going out to the venue, making sure everybody showed up on time. I had checklists, making sure that my people, I would hire people. I hired this one guy to do video work for me, and he, young guy. And I let him know, like, when you do work for me, you dress professional. And he, I went to go inspect a shoot that he went out. He was wearing like cutoff jean shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. And I was like, what are you wearing? And he's like, bro, don't tell me what to wear. Like, I wear stuff, I wear what I want. And I was like, you're fired. It
wasn't Friday.
Get out. Yeah. And it's like, hey, those are my Friday rules. Like, when you've built a multi-six-figure business, you can set your rules for Friday. But and I struggled with stuff like this. So I was constantly like, it's not always like that, but I worked with this really creative older guy, and he was really stuck on, 7 hours to set up for a 30-second shot. And it's like, dude,
wow,
you have to think like a business person. They didn't pay for all your cranes. Yeah, but Owen, I really like to use them, and I think that and it's like, now you've set this huge expectation with the client that I did not set. So they're calling him now to get yeses, and can we add this? And he's like adding all this stuff, and I'm like, bro, they didn't pay for that. And so, like, I had this really stressful year, and I remember coming home like practically in tears, and I did hit tears a couple times, like from the disrespect people show you. And then you're young, dealing with these 50-year-old business owners, and they young punk kind of thing. I remember coming home and being like, I can't do this anymore, to my wife. And it was shortly thereafter that I was diagnosed with stage 3 thymoma cancer. And I'm 100% positive that the two things are related, in addition to, a struggling diet and some of the other things that contribute to, your cancer. So, we had a choice to face. It was like, do we close the doors of the business and go full time into fighting cancer? And I don't think anybody, Jack, anybody would have blamed me for that. And I had to go through this place where it's like, I could get out of this game right now and just couch surf for the next 40 years, and nobody would blame me. I could change my story to kid from the ghetto who became a millionaire, to to, he got cancer and now he just kind of chills and his wife pays the bills. And I decided that was not a story that I wanted to lead. I decided that I wanted to be the guy who grew a 6-figure business into a 7-figure business during cancer. And we underwent chemo and radiation, and that was a 1-year process. And we did come out clean on the other side. But I could no longer serve my clients physically. I had to be in a place where I could work a couple times a month and make scalable income. Coaching was the way to do that. And I had to go from being a tactician to being a coach. And they're very different. And I've become what I feel. I believe I'm the best coach in the YouTube marketing space. And that's not to knock my other coach buddies, but 99% of all YouTube coaches are YouTube experts who built big channels, didn't make enough money, and became coaches to make more money.
Yeah.
I became a coach for different reasons, and we take a different approach in things. So I'm a great YouTube coach. I also have a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? It's like a slightly different way to kind of look at it. But I really fell in love with coaching because now instead of making, a video a month or 2 videos a month, I was helping making, hundreds of videos every single month, getting millions of views. And the scale of, we doubled our business in the first, that year I had cancer, we grew 107%. From switching to tactician to coaching. And so it was a hard transition to make, but we made it really well.
And so in terms of, going from that agency model over to the coaching model, how did you just transition your clients into the coaching programs, or did you go out and find a whole new set of customers?
New client base? Yeah. In fact, that was what we wanted to get rid of is, I mentioned that, kind of being brought to tears. There was one client there that I had worked with, and we were doing tactician work where we were like filming her videos and editing those videos. And it was just constantly like, you guys suck. You guys are horrible. Like, I want a discount. And yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And I remember coming home and crying my eyes out. It's like, I did not go to college, and which I'm not saying like everyone needs to go to college, but like I didn't go to college to be treated like this by some hippie yoga chick. You know what I mean? And I'm not anti-yoga. I'm actually I do yoga every morning, but I she doesn't know what she's talking about, and that we decided to clean house and get brand new clients. And that was, and again, this is the difference between me and some of the other guys. It's like, we're not just coming at you, teaching you like what we did to get successful on YouTube. It's like, we had to develop client testimonials. We had to develop pathways for clients to enroll. We had to create funnels for them. We had to create low-end offers. I never had to do this before, right? I was going to chamber meetings and BNI meetings, but now I'm in a different audience. So we went to a completely different audience. And during those times where I was like getting chemotherapy, I was writing up free ebooks, and I was kind of creating sales pages. I was learning ClickFunnels and how to do autoresponders. And so I would love to say that it went really fast. It went, I think, faster than some because I was extremely motivated, but we did have to like hustle a lot that year to make the resources that made us look like a coaching company. And that continues to this day. We're continuing to dial in the way we deliver our product so that the customer feels confident in enrolling in our programs, whether it's the low end or the high end.
Got it. And then we'll get to your pricing structure in a little bit, but when you sort of first started, what was your kind of most successful marketing strategies in getting students into the door?
Yeah. So by far it was like webinars and collab webinars. So I did webinars all the time for 3 people or for 35 people. It didn't matter. Like, it was, you do webinars, like you make YouTube videos, and people opt into your free offers. And then, once a month you're like, hey, webinars coming. And then we would do like webinars for real estate agents, and we did webinars for plumbers. In fact, I remember I had a friend of mine came over to the house, and she recorded 3 different intros for me. That was like intros and a couple of other things for me. But it was like, hey, everybody, welcome to the webinar. I want to introduce you to Owen Video. But I also had her record things like, hi, everybody. Welcome. If you're just logging in, leave us your name and your email, or leave us your name and tell us where you're from. Right. Hey, everybody.
Nice.
Good to see you. We're going to get started in just a minute. So it sounded live. And then what we would do is we pre-recorded these webinars. And so you would opt in to an opt-in program. And then it would take you like, hey, do you want to like join us for this live webinar, where you would hear a pre-recorded but sounded live webinar. And I sold a package. And that package was $349 a month for 12 months. Wow. And that was at the time, it was called BizTube Academy. But we have since changed that to the videomarketingschool.com. And we help business owners, and mission-driven entrepreneurs grow their revenue with YouTube. That was our focus. We're not trying to like help the, boyfriend, girlfriend prank vlogger get big. We were not helping like the family vloggers get brand deals. Like that was not a part of YouTube we were in. We specifically were helping the business owners. That was very successful. That's what doubled the business, because I was doing these webinars and trickling people in. We learned a couple things. That trickling people in is like a hard, like you got to do more of like a starts June 6th kind of thing. Right? It starts next month and like start people and stop people at the same time. But I was in chemotherapy, and they knew it because it was all on Zoom. But I was in chemotherapy. They would see the nurse actually put the infusion in me and the bag hanging over my head. But the nurses gave me this private room, and I sat there and I did a training and then answered all their questions. And we had channels grow from hundreds of views to hundreds of thousands of views that year. So it worked.
This was your channels or channels of your students?
My clients have been far more successful than me on YouTube.
Okay. And then when you kind of have people coming into these webinars and everything, you're obviously teaching some strategies or some principles or something like that. Yeah. What do you think the difference is between your webinars and then, other people trying to teach YouTube and that sort of thing? Why do you think yours was so successful?
That's good. First of all, I want to just say, like, shout out and air five whoop to all of my homies out there that teach YouTube. Like, you name the YouTube coach, and I know them. I've worked with them. I've probably traveled around the world with them. Last year I was in Belfast. I hosted a conference there. I host video marketing. Vid Summit. So I know these guys and gals, and they're all very talented, but 99% of them are YouTubers who were successful on YouTube in beauty, or they were successful in camera gear, or they were successful in maybe even coaching YouTube to YouTubers, to people throwing buckets of paint off a bridge, to people doing comedy. Okay. And so they're teaching like how to go viral and how to get, like brand deals from Mattel and Nabisco, right? For the business owner, for the mission-driven entrepreneur, you're already a 6 or 7 figure business. You probably already have a podcast, or you're doing a Facebook Live show, or maybe LinkedIn Live already. The business, our client has a successful business and a successful reputation and wants to add YouTube as a marketing arm to grow and scale the awareness and the brand revenue. That's what I do that no one else does. And that's the difference. That we work with the business owner, the entrepreneur who's already successful. And it's like, how do you add YouTube? Now, here's the thing. I work with a lot of people that like, I've got a successful podcast, Owen. I want to put it on YouTube. And it's like, great, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Because that's not going to work. YouTube is different than iTunes. And there's other things like, oh, and I've already got an Instagram following. And it's like, hey, BFD, dude, like it's a double tap. Like, I'm done. I got a double tap. I got to double tap, everybody. Somebody spent 0.000015 seconds on my content. Whereas YouTube, it's a minimum of 30 seconds, maybe 3 minutes they're spending on you. It's a whole different ball game. And so we teach ballers how to be ballers on YouTube. That's the difference between us. And it's a whole different game. We're not working with teenagers who live in their mom's basement and have all the time in the world to make videos all day long. We teach systems, processes, right? Like, how do you crank out a video without overwhelming your team. How do you hire a team? Who's going to edit for you? Your brother, cousin, friend, or Sally, your VA? I recommend neither. And then how do you film the video without, if you don't know how to work cameras, right? Like all of those questions need to be answered, and we can answer those questions for you in the first day, and you'll have 3 videos done by the end of the week.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely interesting how you have the entertainment factor, the educational factor, and then how you balance those, especially as a brand, because you can see so many people going with the entertainment route, and they generate massive followings, massive view counts, but that doesn't necessarily go into or equate to revenue. And then brand deals are only so good because you're constantly hustling to get a new brand deal every month. So yeah, it's interesting, and I like how you focus on the business owner. For business owners that own e-commerce stores or maybe a local service or something like that, what are some things that they can do to better use YouTube for their marketing, and how do they balance entertainment versus functional content?
Oh, man, it's so good. Such a great question. I think that your listeners it's a really great question. So let's dig into that a little bit. There's a couple different ways because you asked me a couple different questions. So what can the e-commerce company do? I would immediately go to Home Shopping Network. Like the e-commerce company, I wish I still had an e-commerce company, because even though I'm like a comedian at heart, and I do hope to end my career as a sitcom writer. Like we have a lot of sitcom ideas, and we want to do what we love to do. But as a when I was selling my dad's stun guns, I added a little bit of comedy to it. That's my thing. Most people don't have that, and you don't need it. Like if I go to YouTube or Google and I'm searching for like best iPhone accessories, I just want to see the accessory, right? So doing these hands-only shots where you're just like saying, today, everybody, we're looking at this product. There's 5 things I want to tell you about this product. Let me show you them right now. This, and this. Like you don't need the whole, hey guys, subscribe now and smash that like button. That is very 17-year-old. And it's not bad if you do it per se, but you don't have to do those things. Provide the value you provide and end the video, right? So the e-commerce business, I think you need to put all of your products in like a Vanna White hands-only type of way. But even the business owner, right? Like if you're a mission-driven entrepreneur and you're, let's say that you're helping your business coach. Well, then you need to take like the biggest questions that are being asked on Google, on Quora, on Reddit, about your target niche. Maybe you help real estate agents grow. Maybe you're a business coach for e-commerce businesses, like stay in your lane, right? Like answer those questions in a straightforward way. Hey, everybody, our question today is how to do X, Y, Z. And I'm Owen, the business coach. I'm going to answer it for you right now. Do me a favor, though, hit the subscribe button and then give me a like if you like what I have to say, because I plan to make more videos just like this. Okay, so the first question is blah, 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 blah. Now, you see how that time I did say the YouTube-y stuff, but I did it in kind of just a really calm and subtle sort of way. It's okay. It's okay to. So I'm not saying don't do it, but do it in a way that's accessible to your audience, right? Answering questions from your laptop computer camera. I mean, the better camera you get, the better it is for you. But like your mobile phone camera right now is better than anything they had 5 years ago. So just use that, right? Don't stress out about the
videos 5 years ago ranking at the top.
Yeah, that's true. Some of my best videos were shot on a basic everything's in focus camera, right? There's no blurry background. There's no, cool lighting or anything like that. But that's how you get started. Now, you had asked me a second question too. Remind me what it was.
So it was balancing the entertainment factor versus functionality.
Yeah. All right. So great question. So we teach a 5-part process to making YouTube videos. It's called the Great Video Formula, GREAT. Grab attention, relate to the viewer, explain your solution, provide actual proof, and then tell them what to do next. So we teach that model. Now, in between the G and the R and the E and the A, right? But in between these segments of your video, those are really great opportunities to do transition statements or to bridge your personality is what we call it. And what we do is we run our clients through a workshop where we teach them this model. And it's like you do the G section. Well, let me explain it. First, you take an element of your brand or you take a value of your brand and you turn it into sort of like a recurring statement or a
Mhm.
convention. Okay. So a convention, what's a convention? Well, it's like in horror movies, where the light is always like they're like from on top and their eyes are really dark, or in a horror movie you'll always hear like, ominous music. These are conventions of horror movies. And so what we do is we create these conventions. For example, I do the Air 5, right? I say, hey everybody, welcome to the
Mhm.
channel. My name's Owen. Give me an Air 5 flop. Now, why do I do
Nice.
that? I've been Air 5ing people for 10 years. Like me
Mhm.
and my buddy, we were in a Bible group years ago, and we'd kind of like the smart Alex in the back, like making jokes, and then he'd be like, he'd make a joke and he'd look at me and I'd look at him, and across the room we Air 5 each other. So that was a part of my personality that I
The
added
branding.
into
Mhm.
the video. So how does a brand do that, right? Well, let me give you a couple different ways. We were
Mhm.
working with a dog trainer yesterday, and or a dog breeder. She's a dog trainer, dog breeder.
Mhm.
And she was like, she's like, I don't really have anything like that. And I said, okay, really quick convention. You're going to review dog products, right? So how about
Mm.
4 paws up, right? So every animal product that you analyze gets up to 4 paws up, right? And that's just something you
Ah.
do in every episode. So at the end of the video, we give it 4 paws up, or 3 paws up, or 2 paws, whatever the
That's
case might be. We had another
Mhm.
person who is a real estate broker. And I said, what's a part of your company that's something that you could show off? I don't know. We're like, the owner, he wasn't even on the call. The owner, he's like, the owner is really big on family, but like, I don't really have anything to do with real estate. And I said, no way. How about this? When the owner's doing videos, you know,
Mhm.
and he explains a technique, he starts the sentence with, I was talking to my daughter, or I was talking to my son, or I was talking to my granddaughter.
Ah.
And every week you show a picture of the owner with a different member of the family, you know? And
Okay.
so it's like, hey,
They
today's
can
tip.
relate.
Yes. And so what you're doing is that you're going between the G and the R section, right? Hey, welcome to today's show. I'm going to show you how to buy a house and do it in the best possible way. Now, I was talking to my daughter yesterday, shot of dad and
Mhm.
daughter,
Mhm.
taught her this strategy. Back to the dad now. And he goes
Okay.
and explains the strategy. So it's these really simple, repeatable things that reveal your values and reveal your character, so that the audience is
Mhm.
getting value from what they're learning, but they're also learning who you are, and building that
Mhm.
parasocial relationship with you. That is what will ultimately make you very, very popular.
Mm. And I think YouTube's one of the channels where you can do that quite successfully.
Yeah,
Whereas, SEO or just image content on Instagram, that sort of stuff, it's much harder to do that.
I agree.
And as you mentioned before, the engagement of people with your content is so much higher on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I love and
sorry.
hate Instagram. I do. I love and hate Instagram. Like, I love it as a user. I hate it as a marketer. I really do.
Yeah, well, that organic reach is getting tough. Um, okay, so really, it's like for brand owners, they just need to, figure out a vertical like reviews or something, bring in some personality, and that balance between entertainment and function can actually be just adding your own personality and branding in there, so it's not so stale. Because I can imagine, just super white background, straight into it, no personality behind it, does get kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube does definitely have an entertainment factor in there
Yeah.
that
You know,
helps people watch content.
and I think podcasting works very similarly. In fact, we've created a line of products called video branding elements. And for
Mm-hmm.
podcasting, we call them audio branding elements. But you can go to my website at thevideomarketingschool.com and then search our product line and get video branding elements. And what these are, we take your logo, your brand colors, we ask you your values and your buzzwords and those things, and we create for you these animated graphics that you can
Mm-hmm.
add into your video. They'll say, hey, subscribe to the channel now. So you don't have to say it, but
Yeah.
they'll animate on screen in a way that shares your personality. You get to see your brand. And so we recommend, like, if you want to start on video and you want to share your personality, but you're not exactly sure, like, I don't know about the family picture. I don't know about the air high fives. Get the video branding elements and start there, right? Just start by putting a little flair on the screen that's in your brand colors. Because what a lot of people do is you go and you buy these generic brand elements from the different websites, or maybe there's an ad running on Facebook, and you look just the same as everybody else, right? So little tricks like this, help you to add your personality without you having to do anything. And I think that's a great place to be as a business owner, because we don't want to add YouTube and do more work, right? You want to do YouTube so that you have to do less work, and that's what we teach in our process.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest mistakes you see businesses making on YouTube?
Oh my gosh, you're asking great questions today. Biggest mistake number one is there is no cohesive programming strategy. And what I mean by that is you're making the videos that you want to make when you want to make them, without much regard for the search traffic, the trending value, or even like the title structure. For example, we had a 7-figure company on our call yesterday on our workshop. And, he has his business name in every single video, and he goes, well, Gary V puts episode 1 or episode 2. And I'm like, hey, call me when you're Gary V. Right.
Wouldn't be here if you were Gary V.
Yeah, totally, man. Like, so here's the thing. When a customer goes to the web and searches for something, they don't care who delivers them the value. They don't care if it's Home Depot. The most anti-corporate person in the world will still watch a Home Depot video on how to fix a leaky sink if their sink is leaking right now. You know what I mean? So you've got to have a content strategy that does two things. One, it understands the search words, the SEO that is big in your industry. That's one. That brings people in to your channel. Okay. But that's only 10% of YouTube. 90% of YouTube is the suggested algorithm. It's them referring videos to you after you've watched the first one, right? So you got to have a strategy that's like, okay, here's the keyword search terms we're going to do, right? Like, how to buy a house in Cincinnati. But then we're going to make 5 videos, 5 more videos that are interesting. And that are talk more about our brand and our values, that if a customer watched this, then the algorithm will suggest these videos to them. And
interesting.
Watching. So, a great way to do that is like, how to buy a house in Cincinnati. But then you make another one that's not keyword engine based. That's like biggest mistakes Cincinnati house buyers make, in 2021. So imagine you're watching how to buy a house in Cincinnati, and then because you search for that, and then the next video is like biggest mistakes. And you're likely to watch that. Would you agree? Right. So that's the content strategy that you have to think about. We have a client right now who we're doing all this done for you work, right? They're producing the videos and we edit them and we do all the stuff, and we do offer that service for higher end clients. She's just throwing stuff to us. She's wonderful. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to say that again. This person is doing great stuff and they're doing just wonderful. But there isn't a strategy to it. And that's what we're helping them to develop is like, okay, all right, I love the videos you're sending, but let's create some like silos here. Let's kind of have like, a how to do silo. We'll do a bunch of how to do videos over here, but then let's do some biggest mistakes videos and let's do them over here. That way we know what you're filming and we know what we're going to be editing, and we can create a workflow for that. And so what I see business owners doing is like, I'm making a video about topic A and then topic C and then topic F, and you're just bouncing all over the place. When instead you need to make like 5 or 6 videos on one topic and then upload those, boom, 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 boom. Then make another silo of videos on another related topic and go boom, 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 boom. Right? You do that for a year. Your number one lead flow will be from YouTube. I promise you.
Wow. And so what are the most common or most used kind of silos? You mentioned how-tos, you mentioned biggest mistakes. What are some other ones that brands use?
Another one would be versus, right?
Okay.
So let's say that you're a SaaS. We work with a lot of SaaS companies, and I'll say like company 1 versus our company, company 2 versus our company, product versus our product, right? And then even in your product, like free version versus paid version, right? So versus is really popular. Another one is expert reacts to, right? So I was working with a real estate business coach who came into the program, and I said, make a video called Realtor Reacts to Gary V. And she goes, no, I don't want to do that. She's like, sometimes I like Gary Vee, sometimes I don't. She's like, I'm not really passionate about him. I said, yeah, but agents are. Your audience is. Yeah, but I don't want to like plant my flag, yes or no. You don't have to do that. Just I like this. I didn't like that. What's your decision? Tell me in the comments. See you in the next video. Well, she fought me. And she made the video. It was the best performing video on her channel within 2 hours. Within 2 hours. Okay. So I go, all right, it worked. We're business owners. Do another video like this. No. I said, do Realtor Reacts to Ryan Serhant. No. Okay. I said, do it. That became her #1 video. And it just continued to grow from there. So reaction videos. So if you're a SaaS company, like SaaS company reacts to, right? SaaS company reacts to Elon Musk's new AI. Hold on to your seats, people. I'm going to get really I'm going to say something that might make some of you feel uncomfortable. I have got a client right now who is doing content on industry diversity, and she's going to do content Black Realtor Reacts to. And she's going to look at memes. Okay. And now, the goal is not to strike contention. Her goal is to identify other Black real estate agents that may want to work with her. And it's a wonderful idea to go after your niche in a really confident way. And so there's lots of ways you could do it. You could review memes. You could review websites. You could review products. But doing the reacts, I think, is really YouTube-y and trendy right now. Ask me in a year, and we'll have a different conversation. But do what works now, do that, and do it until it's working.
Yeah, well, I also, we've talked to a lot of creators, and I think one of the common trends is that you need to establish what your position is, and you're always going to have haters, but you need to kind of understand your values and stick to them and make content around that. Because if you swap between sides, you never get a passionate following. Yeah, because you're just trying to please everyone.
I agree, and we struggle with pandering as well. And I call it pandering because I don't like the term, but I catch myself doing it. I catch myself playing just like. Here's the thing, Primal Branding by Patrick Conlon. This has been a really revolutionary book for me. And Patrick Conlon has been to Vid Summit, an event that I host multiple times. He's been a big part of the video marketing community. He talks about you have to have your tribe. Seth Godin talks about this as well. You have to have your tribe, but you also have to have an opposing tribe. If you don't have haters, then you're not doing it right. Now, we kind of get into political issues, and if that's where your axe to grind is, then maybe that's okay. I see a lot of video marketers. I see a lot of let's just say business coaches. I see a lot of business coaches putting their flag in the ground on masks, and whether you're a mask or anti-mask. To me, that seems irrelevant to the brand, and it's the wrong flag to plant. I plant my flag in YouTube is the best for video lead generation, right? Oh, but Owen, I do Instagram video, and Instagram video sucks, bro. Come at me. Now I don't really speak that way, guys. I don't really speak that way. But my point is, you have to plant your flag in an industry controversy and really own it. I'm an avid live streamer. I love live streaming, but I think live streaming on Facebook has tanked in the last year. We used to have a show that got 300 live viewers. Now we're getting 60. It's atrocious what Facebook did to the algorithm because they want you advertising. But my point is, we have not planted a flag on Facebook Live because we still use it, and we had to decide where's a better place for us to plant that flag. Right? Instagram video, I think, is a horrible idea for a business owner. So we're going to be anti-Instagram video, and that's part of that tribal, that primal branding is, if you're for for tech, you also have to be anti-paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so reeling this back into more of the stuff that you do, and for everybody listening who might run an agency or might run a coaching program or have courses and that sort of thing, what's something you would do differently if you were to go do it all over again?
Yeah, I wandered around. When I started YouTube, there were no coaches. And I was very blessed to be mentored by Daryl Eves when he was coming up and before anybody knew who I was. And so Daryl Eves is is a brother to me. We spent a lot of time together, and he's taught me a lot about YouTube. And I was grateful for that, but I didn't have that for a while. So in the beginning, I was making content that was only search engine based. And what happened was some videos did really well. But here's what it did is I started doing videos on WordPress blogging. And then I did some videos on SEO tips. And then I did a video on Snapchat. And then I did a video on YouTube. And these videos blew up. They did. To this day, they've got hundreds of thousands of views on them. But what happened? I brought in an audience of WordPress guys who may not be interested in SEO, YouTube, or Snapchat. Then I brought in a bunch of guys. Yeah, I was pandering, and you can't do that. What you have to do is stay in your lane, right? So I wish I would have just stuck with making videos that only teach YouTube and video, right? And that's exactly what I teach my clients to do now is we create a content strategy first. In the very first meeting that you have with me or my team, we develop almost a year worth of the 40 video channels. So we develop a year of video content in the first 90 minutes that you're with us. And now you already know what videos you're going to do for the year. And they're really only across 4 categories. They might be across 5 or 6, but we rein in the visionary temptation to go, I want to do it all, Owen. And we say, great, you can do it all, but it's going to take 5 years. Let's start with these 4 categories. You know what I mean? And for the next year, yeah, exactly. And it works. And it works. And then they get like Brian, who's a real estate agent in Dallas. He closed last Q3. It was really like December through January. It's like November, December, January. Something like $90,000 in commission, $3 million in homes. All from 2 YouTube videos that to this day combined have less than 1,000 views on it. It's not about this viral video. It's about the right video and identifying the right audience.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Quality over quantity.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay. And then those, when you're planning out this content strategies for the people who join your marketing, your video marketing school, are they the silos that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's 4 categories. Yeah.
Okay, nice. All right. Next question that I was kind of interested in is, I know you offer a monthly or a lifetime. What was the thought process behind that? Because I know a lot of people are on the fence about offering lifetime, and then some people only offer lifetime. What was your thought process on your pricing model?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So we have 3 programs. Okay, the Video Marketing School, which is all of our pre-recorded training. It's private Facebook group. You get access to my coaches and a monthly coaching call with me. And you can enter that 2 different ways, $49 or for $500, you have it for life. The second program is our big program, and that's the YouTube Authority Intensive. And that's a bigger program. It's a 12-week private intensive designed for mission-driven entrepreneurs. That costs a little bit more money. And then we have Done For You, and that's for the agency, the brand that's like, hey, we're going to shoot the videos and get them over to you. You do the rest, right? And we do all the editing for you and the thumbnails and all that kind of stuff. So those are 3 levels of what we do. And in the Video Marketing School, you asked me about the 2 different levels, $49 a month versus the $490. Here's the thinking behind that. It's like our atrophy was somewhere around 6 months, right? So the $49 people are staying for 6 months. And it's like, well, what if we could get that to 10 months? We wanted to get off this cycle of, can we save them from canceling? Can we save them from canceling? While at the same time recognizing that no one that was with us last year is still with us this year. Now, they're still friends. They still check in. It's not, I don't want to say like people, it's not like they run from us,
They've
but
graduated.
they've graduated, they've moved on, and we're not planning on adding any more content to this place. Like it's the content in the video marketing school will get you to a successful YouTube channel. And when it comes to next level strategies, that's where the intensive comes in, because you need personal time at that point. Right. So if you're sort of like a karate school owner, or maybe you have, you fix computers locally, or maybe you're a chamber of commerce style business, the video marketing school is a great place for you to get started. Right. And here's the thing is, if you are committed month to month in your mind, then you when it comes down to like, what bills do we need to cancel? Anytime there's an emergency, it's like, well, we can always cancel this. We wanted to liberate the client from ever having to worry about billing again. So we offered this lifetime plan. Everybody's a year for free. I'll tell you, we did a year for free and it did not convert nearly as well as lifetime. And so now you can pay $490 and you will always have access to the videos. And here's the thing. You also get one coaching call a month with us. So imagine
for life.
For life. That's 20 years. And that's, guys, that's the lifetime of the business. My coaches jump in a lot on that. And then my coaches update the trainings as well. So you're seeing 20, you're doing 2020 information in 2020, right? But I don't have to physically be involved in all the little details. And then you as the viewer, you get more value because you never have to make a payment again. That I think was a very unique move for us and just further separates us from the other people in the space.
Yeah, no, it's a win-win for you and the student. Okay, I know we're coming up on time here. My last question is your tech stack. How do you put all this stuff together?
Oh my gosh! All right, so we use a project management system called Asana. And you might use Trello. Trello is another one that we also really like. Trello is free. Asana is free. Asana does have some advanced features that we like to take advantage of. But we believe strongly in workflows. You as the business owner or as the even the director, it's probably not your prerogative to work more. Right. So what we do is we have this system that's like step one, content plan, done for the year. We're done. Right. Then it's what video were we working on today? What thumbnail is it? What's the SEO for it? And then who's publishing it? And then published. And then what are the results? And we're done. And so we use this Asana program to manage all of our checkpoints and to make sure that things are getting done properly. But beyond that, okay, so like that's the container, right? What do we put in that container? It's the 4 P's of YouTube. It's the Video Pro framework. Okay, so if you guys are listening or watching, take notes on this. The Video Pro framework is programming, production, promotion, and progress. Those are the only 4 things that you need to measure. Programming is the content you're going to do and the way in which you do it. Are you a talking head? Is it animated? Is it hands only? That decides your production workflow. Production is getting the video shot, edited, and a thumbnail produced. Okay. Then the video moves to promotion. Now you have a finished video. How do you promote it? What day of week do you put it on YouTube? What are the keywords associated to it? Are you going to share it on Facebook? And if you do, how? Are you going to share a link, or are you going to make a 1-minute trailer and upload that and then boost it with ads? Right? Are you going to embed it in your website? We help our clients create a promotional checklist so that when a video is published, they have, a set of other tasks that just get done the quickest things. And here's the thing. If you're not on Twitter every day, then you don't need to share your videos there, right? I am on Twitter every day, but I don't share my videos there per se, systematically, because that's not really what my Twitter's for. It's really just like a place for me to hang out with industry friends. I'm not a marketer per se on Twitter. And so this idea that you have to be everywhere is not a good idea. In fact, if you're not really big anywhere, I would focus on YouTube because you'll get bigger there faster organically than anywhere else. Most of our clients are doing some form of Facebook ads or a podcast, and it's a good thing in your podcast to say, hey, and be sure to join us on our YouTube channel. And then your promotion, right? You've got now your video's out there. It's getting views. You check your progress. How many views did you get? How long did people watch? What didn't work? Maybe we can cut that next time. What did work? Maybe we can just do more of that. We do progress checks, and we teach our clients how to look at analytics systematically. So you're looking at 3 big numbers. And then based on those numbers, it impacts your programming. You might change your programming strategy a little bit to get more of what's good, and then the cycle repeats itself. So you're running this cycle, and our most successful clients are just running that every week. Just getting through those 4 processes and growing every week.
Nice. That's super valuable, knowing those 4 things to focus on, because you get shiny object syndrome all the time with marketing, and there's so many different things to look at.
We get it too. Like, I just heard about like 5 new softwares today, and it's like, I want to use those. So here's what we do. Like, we're going to develop a silo on our channel of product reviews and software tutorials. That satisfies my urge while keeping us in the lane. And for those agency owners or bigger companies, like, you should think about becoming a news source for your industry. Like, I've got a guy who sells a financial newsletter in my program, and he just comments on news that will affect your 401ks. That opens up a pop culture audience, because he's got big words like Twitter bans or what are new laws, trends that bring in a wide audience. But then his expertise identifies his customers and moves them to a free offer, and that's a really solid strategy.
Nice. Well, Owen, like, unbelievable amounts of value. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Where can we go and find out more? Where can we go check out, what you're doing, get in touch, check out your marketing school, all those sorts of fun things? Let's hear it.
Great. So if you'd love to check out more about the videomarketingschool.com, then visit the website and play around. There's a lot of great stuff on there. We don't have an amazing, website presence. Like, it's not this big mind-blowing website, but everything's there if you want to click around, and I hope that you join us in this school. If you'd like to learn more about the private program, which would be best for agency owners and mission-driven entrepreneurs, go to makeyoutubeeasy.com. And of course, you can follow me everywhere on the web at Owen Video. And I hope that you do. Make sure that you mention you came from Jack's podcast here, and I'll be sure to stop by and say hello.
Nice. Well, Owen, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. There's so much value in this episode. I'm sure all the business owners, course creators, and everything is going to get a lot of value out of this. So yeah, really appreciate the time.
Stoked to be here, man.
Hey guys, we put a bunch of effort into making great content for this YouTube channel. So please hit subscribe, leave us a comment, hit like, and tell a few friends about it.